Hi everyone, Andy Carvin here. Right now I'm with former CBS anchor and veteran journalist Dan Rather. Thanks for taking the time to sit down with us today.
Delighted to be here.
I was wondering if we could start talking a bit about what you were saying during your keynote earlier today at South by Southwest when you referred to media concentration, media cross-ownership, and the impact it has on both journalism and civic discourse. Could you allude on that or expand upon that a bit more in terms of how you see media concentration affecting specifically local news as well as national news?
Larger and larger corporations, fewer and fewer in number, have taken control of more and more of the major disseminators of news in the country, to the extent now that you could make a case, and I'd make the case, that 4 or 5, no more than 6, really large corporations control the principal mass media outlets in the country. This is not in and of itself a bad thing. However, what is true is that the corporatizing of the news is one of the factors in making our news coverage less independent, less probing and questioning. I've said it has less guts. We need in American journalism a spine transplant. When someone says we don't get much gutsy journalism anymore, we don't get many tough questions anymore, we don't have the kind of investigative reporting we used to have, well, one of the reasons is because of what I've called this corporatizing of the news.
How do you change the system if the entities that are in a position to change are the ones that benefit from the relationship they've created for themselves?
Well, the answer is not easily, but we can do it. This is America. And, here, we, the people, do rule. How can we change it? One, let the sunshine in. People need to know how it works, how it really works, as opposed to how somebody would like to convince them that it works. I believe in, sunshine cures mildew in damp basements. But let the sunshine in. Let's call some attention to this. Number 2, hold people accountable. The Federal Communications Commission is supposed to represent we, the people of the United States, and is supposed to represent our interest with the people's airways, which I think rightly so, corporate entities are allowed to use to make money, to create profits and create jobs, all that. But the regulatory agencies, whether it be the FCC, you name one, they're supposed to represent we the people. Now question, and to ask the question is not to suggest know the answer. Do these regulatory agencies still represent we the people, or are they handmaidens of the very corporations, particularly large corporations, in which they're supposed to be the people's representative to? So make people aware of it, put the sunshine in, hold them accountable.
Do you worry that the public lacks the media literacy skills to tell the difference between a blogger who has integrity and sincerity versus a blogger who is trying to use a blog purely for ulterior motives?
Well, some do, some don't. But, I trust the audience. My experience in first print, in radio, and then in television, and now early on in the world of high-def television and the Internet, is that overall and in the main you can trust the audience. That the public at large, particularly in our country with its freedoms, the public at large has a pretty good bullshit indicator. And they may not be watching the meter all the time. They may misinterpret it some of the time. But by and large, they'll separate bullshine from brass tacks. And I think that's the way it is with blogs.
Do you ever see yourself possibly creating your own blog?
Yes, I've thought about it. I don't have any present plans right now to do that. I have about as much work as I can say grace over doing this 1-hour news program every week for HCNet. I'm a little inclined to think that for myself, I don't know that I'd want to blog as such. Would I consider it? Yes. Have I considered it? Yes. Do I do it now? No. I'd be more interested if there were an opportunity to help mold a news site that included other people's blogs and maybe one of my own. But I've spent nearly all of my life aspiring to be an honest broker of information, and I'm still trying to be a good, never mind great journalist, and I hope someday to achieve that. And I don't know whether I'd be good at blogging or not. I recognize that there'd be some people who hoot at this, but the fact is that I try really hard to keep my own opinion, my own biases out of my reporting. Have I done it perfectly? No, nobody does it perfectly. But that's what I've been trying to do. That's what I'm still trying to do. So I don't know whether that lends itself to blogging or not. But I have thought about it, and from time to time, up ahead, I'll probably consider it again. Do you blog?
Yes, I do. I blog personally, I blog professionally, and somehow I manage to balance them most of the time.
Well, it's a lot of work. That is to say, that's the other thing I recognize, that a blog takes work. I think some people think, well, all you do to blog is just, sit down at the machine and rap off a few words, a few sentences, and that's a blog. Well, it's a blog of a sort, but most of the time it's not a blog worth doing. I admire most those bloggers, and this will come as a surprise to nobody, who spend time on the telephone talking to people, doing what reporters do, and yes, getting out, attending events, knocking on doors, wearing out shoe leather, and do original reporting. Those are my favorites. Not limited to that I read them, but those are the ones I like the best.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Good questions. Wish I had better answers.
Thanks again. This is Andy Carvin talking with Dan Rather.
Thank you.